Welcome to Melted. This is Frankie Melted Chapsticks Hollywood, and on today's show, we have Sergio Ortega of The Dives. We're going to be talking rock and roll music, lucid dreaming, what it's like for him to have toured the world, and he's starting back up again, which is really exciting. And we are sponsored by our favorite Carlino guitars, Eddie Carlino. If you need any sort of guitar made or anything any bands need, just head straight down to Carlino Guitars, the hottest brand in the land. He is located at 135 Mystic Ave in Medford, Mass. He's there every day, so just head down. He does all sorts of custom work, straps. You can get lessons from Joe Filoni, who's fantastic there as well, all week long. Become a better musician, make your band look like unbelievable pro band. He has so many clients, from Kiss to Slash. Yours truly, Frankie Melted Chapsticks Hollywood. And Sergio has also had a strap done there, so we're excited to talk to Sergio about his life with the Dives, quarantine, lucid dreaming, COVID, how it's affected us all. He is quite a talented musician. The Dives started back a few years ago, and they have toured the world. The Dives consist of Jimmy Meier on drums and vocals, Mike Lefton guitar and vocals, and Sergio Ortega bass and vocals. And they really have a powerful sound, really rocking. Their videos are a lot of fun. And a warm, melted welcome to an educator, bass player of the Dives, the best thing since sliced wheat bread. How are you, Sergio Ortega? How are you?
Hey, how are you? Frank, how are you, man?
You know what? No complaints. How was your day?
Pretty good, pretty full. Yeah, no complaints here.
Nice. So were you giving lessons today?
I was. This one was in particular on guitar. And then, actually, I had 2 guitar lessons today, and then just had some running around to do. So, aside from that, it's a fairly gloomy day in New York City, but not too bad.
Well, I love the way you shred the guitar, by the way, as a bass player.
Thank you.
It's like he's taking the wheat, the shredded wheat, that is, and you were just flying up and down that neck. How long does it take to become that fast?
Well, there's a red pill you can take.
Okay, I took the blue one. Yeah, I have a stiff neck.
Right.
Yes.
Like, man, is there like a double dose you can take? Is there, can I have a mulligan so I can take backsies?
We don't ask for much. I was going to give you 2 dates, and I want your impressions on these 2 dates. The first date is February 15th of last year, and then I want your feelings on April 24th of this year.
Let's see, February 15th, that would have been, day after Valentine's Day. Oh, those were our last shows that we had played.
Yes.
If I'm remembering correctly.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's, February 15th, as far as that's concerned, I mean, we all knew, I think, there were, I guess here in the United States, there was like the sort of whispers and the little bits that you'd hear on the news, or whether it be like, whatever social media that you use, and, didn't think a whole lot, but you'd start hearing, it's like, is this like serious? Is this, what's going on? But, we had done our usual residency here in New York City, first week of every month. And then we had heard after that February 15th show, we just played it like any other show and just having a good time. And I think that was at Debonair in Jersey, if I remember correctly.
In Teaneck, yep.
It was a great show. We had a lot of fun, as we normally do. But, in our heads, it was just, okay, well, we'll see, get ready for the next one, and just operate as we normally do. And obviously that didn't happen. So I think with February 15th, we didn't really have quite an understanding of what was to come. But now looking back on it and seeing April 24th is our first show back in over a year. And I think none of us, at least for me personally, I have not gone, not since I first started playing, have I gone that long without a show. That's since I was a kid, like junior high school, I think. It's an odd feeling. You feel, only way I can explain it is a bit empty, and a bit numb. The whole year has sort of been a weird, where 6 months feels like 6 years and vice versa, I guess, if you want to say it like that, if that makes any sense. But it's February, it'll be 14 months and change since we'd played our last show together. And, I know we're all super pumped about it, as well as we are probably kind of anxious, a little nervous, because it's been a minute, as it has been for so many bands. And, it's been rough, and I can't say that, there's some people who obviously have it worse than others, but, I sure am excited, and, I'm sure it'll be a little emotional, and excuse me, all of the emotions I think will hit at night. So, but yeah, what an odd year, to say the least.
That's an understatement.
The more I'm talking about it, the more I'm like, oh, gosh.
Well, I didn't really want any more perspective with my life. I go along with the Buddhists, some Zen, the Stoics. I haven't had alcohol, for everybody's safety, in about 10 years, and that's a day at a time. And I can't control people, places, or things. It's how I react to it.
Of course.
But, being honest about it, when you think, I've been fortunate to do live streams as well, just having fun in the backyard, etc. But I think the not knowing, now, you live in New York City, correct? Mm-hmm. So yes. What was it like? Because I live in Boston, and again, it seemed like the focal point was in New York, and so much trauma. How did you get through that as well, being in the epicenter of it all?
Well, I should make a correction real quick, where I'd been actually. So what had happened is I was at the beginning of all of this when, to put it in perspective, we were originally told 2 weeks. Excuse me, 2 weeks. And here we are. What is this? 14, 15 months later, or something like that. Or,
I honestly thought it was gonna. Yeah, I thought it was gonna be a long weekend. I'm not kidding you.
Yeah. I think all of us did. So what had happened is I had gone down. My brother lives in North Carolina.
Okay.
And so around mid-April, actually this time last year, I'd gone down there with the idea that, because by that point, it was pretty clear that this was going to take a while. And, it was rough, like where everything, obviously the city that never sleeps was looking quite sleepy. Yes. And scary. Stuff was shut down. You couldn't really go anywhere. And I remember thinking after a certain hour, I think around like 8 or 9 o'clock, everything just felt eerie. Just the energy and the flow, like New York is known for its, there's a lot of hustle, there's a lot of activity, there's a lot of everything. And it's at all hours of each day. And around mid-April is when I think we all started thinking, okay, this is not just gonna this is gonna last quite a while. And in my head, I'm like, this is gonna be, I think, more than a while. So my brother was like, why don't you come down, just clear your head for a little bit, and we'll hang out, because we hadn't really hung out together. As we'd see each other a few times a year, he's a pilot, so I'd see him, when he had to stay overnight in New York or something, a few times a year, and we'd get to hang out. But this is a chance for us to, hang out for longer than a few days. We hadn't done that since we were kids, so gone down there, and then a month turned into a couple months, and then even longer than that. And then it turns out that I had to move out of my apartment in the middle of that. So, I've been in New York City, for so long, but for most of the last year, I'd been holed up in North Carolina, just kind of waiting to come back. And I'm here right now because obviously, like we said earlier, the Dives have our first show back next weekend. So, I have a lot of friends still here, and even I'm back here now. I've been here for a few days again. I was here a bit last summer, and even then, I think it feels like there's a little more energy coming back here than it was last time, though it's still relatively quiet in a lot of places. Something you didn't really see. I like this reference to someone called it "from the before."
Yes,
I thought that was kind of funny in a but also very sad. He's like, "Oh, you remember from the before?"
Do I?
Just always action. There's always action here, and that's why we love it here. At least I do. I kind of thrive in these kind of environments, but there's semblance of life. There's little things creeping back, and plus the weather's getting nicer here. So, I think that bit of hope and people getting vaccinated. I myself have just been fully vaccinated, so really grateful for that.
And what kind did you get?
I got the Moderna.
Okay.
So you do the first shot, and then 4 weeks later you come in for the second one.
Did you feel many side effects to it?
From the first shot, I felt a little tired. That was about it. And then the second one kind of put me out for, I'd say, less than a day, where I felt a little bit of headache, some achiness in the body. The way I can describe it is it's like you're coming down with the flu, but it never quite peaks. That's what it felt like to me. Or it's like, doing the hardest workout of your life. Kind of that sort of achy feeling, kind of, that I slept quite a bit. It's that kind of hazy, spinning kind of feeling. Felt that throughout the day. And then I'd say I got the shot at about 6 p.m. on a Monday. By the next evening, Tuesday, around 10, 11 o'clock at night, I started to feel the symptoms go away.
Okay.
And then by that next morning, Wednesday morning, I felt completely fine. So, then from what I understand, that's what most people that I know who had the same Moderna shot have also felt those same things, similar things.
Yeah, I had the J&J a week ago. And
okay. How did that work out?
Well, it was like, hey, it's one shot, you show up. And I saw like Sebastian Bach and all these rock stars doing their videos and stuff for their shot. And I brought in my unicorn hat. And
that's awesome.
And I said, you know what? I've just had it with all of it. So I'm just going to go in, be pleasant, have my shot. I don't need to make a production of this.
Right.
I get in there, and the shot itself, and I'm going to ask you, because usually I've had like blood drawn or an injection, but this was actually like a staple gun in me, and I was shocked that it hurt so much. I mean, it was like, excuse me, ma'am. And I told her, I said, I almost wore my unicorn hat in, and she goes, I wish you would have. And then they make you wait the 15 minutes, but no one watched me. So at 15 minutes and 1 second, I walked through the crowded pharmacy, bye, and jump in the car, went home. I literally played guitar for hours, had a small metallic taste in my mouth, and then it hit me. And I had the flu symptoms for a while, and I'm like, You're a genius. Why not play guitar for a couple hours? Is it the achiness from that? Or, So, and then I couldn't sleep, but then it took about a day. I came out of a fog and I was fine. But I think the other thing is as well, and I know that you opened up for the Dead Daisies. You've toured the world. I had Marco Mendoza on my show. And
he's awesome.
he is so good and cool.
He was so cool. He was so cool to us, and I had some really nice talks with him.
Oh,
getting to know him a little bit.
Yeah, he just him and his Red Bull, and he,
That's so hilarious.
I mean, we share sobriety as well, and we had a nice chat about that. But it's kind of like the other thing is that it is the unknown, and we have the media, and then you have some poor people that pass away from it, and then they're not giving out the shot. It's like I've kind of, just for my own sanity, stayed away from the news, because I don't know, everybody's making all of these plans, and then they talk about variants. I'm like, why can't I just get my shot and you can leave me alone?
Yeah, it's. I think I think it's probably wise of you to like I said, distance yourself from news and whatnot. I kind of view the news sometimes. I tell people this. I'm like, you can't really. I don't know that you can view the news as news much anymore, as much as it is entertainment. Much like a reality show or something else. I mean, look. Most people who watch the news, it's like, okay, this is my information for the day, but you also have your social media aspect of it, and you're just bombarded every minute of every day with something new. It's going to drive you nuts, with what's, like my, back to the shot, my mom got the J&J vaccine, and she had no symptoms, but I would actually probably attribute that to the fact that she'd had, there was a 5-year period where she had a lot of health complications, and her body took quite a beating. So I think maybe she just toughened up from it. She's like, man, that's nothing, That's what I think. She's like, no, I was fine. She goes, I took the day off, which is nice, but.
Yeah, my mom is Irish. We're from South Boston originally, and I'm an EU citizen as well.
Oh, wow.
And when I stopped drinking, I was so bored. You would catch me at Target at 8 a.m. on a Saturday, or filling out forms how I got my citizenship. But she's a social worker as well. And it's like the toughness of that generation. I'm like, Mom, you're a social worker. Is the state ready to revoke your license at any turn? Just like every sentence you say to me hinges on getting they're just, sometimes, they've been there and seen that. And that makes me happy to hear that, your mom's doing well, because it's the mortality thing. I wanted to brighten your day today. I actually went to the oldest cemetery here in the U.S. that's manicured. It's called Mount Auburn Cemetery. So I'm walking through there, and I would joke with my uncle, and our friends that, that have played in the NFL or really work out. And I'm like, it's funny how my 40 time, which is about 7 seconds, is much faster than these guys. So there's different inspirations that you can, gather. You can get some peace. And walking through there, I was like, oh my God, I couldn't find my wallet. And then I kind of realized, and I was pointed out that there are no concession stands there to buy anything.
Gotcha.
And, just I don't need any more sort of clarity about life. It's just, this is what it is. So in the meantime, as a Stoic, memento mori, which means we understand death is coming, but also we're going to live and play. So I know you're so excited for your show coming up April 24th. And let me tell you something. It's kind of like Bruce Lee said it, Ringo Starr said it, and you've said it.
Mm-hmm.
Bruce Lee called it an anxiety burger. He was afraid before fights, and he's the
Oh yeah.
toughest person I've ever seen. Ringo,
Mm-hmm.
legend. Once he hit the drum,
Mm-hmm.
he was off and running. So when you
Yeah.
get out there and you hit your first note, you'll be off and running. And, it'll just be nice. Now, what about after this? I know we're not looking too far ahead, but do you have a
Mm-hmm.
slew of summer shows that are possibilities?
We're open to anything. I think for this one, we're going to be, I guess to quote to quote the Bruce Lee there, but the anxiety burger,
Yes.
that we will be on the 24th. We're going to be three anxiety burgers up there, just kind of thrashing away. Just can't wait to make some noise and playing in front of actual people as opposed to the world has gone very much online. And I don't think that's necessarily going to go away or it's going to loosen up. I think it's going to become part of, the what's the word I'm looking for? It's
The
going to be
fabric,
part
maybe.
of like the fabric, the entertainment bundle that people will come to expect. So you're gonna, not that it wasn't before, but it definitely, like much of the world has, the world has very much accelerated online in the last year. So and the music business is no different. But I think people are itching to go out. I think this summer, in my opinion, I could be wrong, but I think it's going to be insane. People are going to want to go out. They're going to want to get a little crazy, I'm sure, which is, there's fun that comes with that. Also a little bit of danger probably.
Yes.
But, people have been cooped up for so long that they're going to want to, kind of cut loose. So I think with that, you're going to start, I think that's might be good for independent bands, like the small ones, because I'm sure you're aware of this, but, touring and summer shows, they can become costly. So with the bigger bands, they're postponing till either later in the year or sometime in 2022. But like if you want to play smaller stuff, that's very much a possibility, and I think that's great for smaller bands. I think venues are, even with Bitter End, where we're playing on the 24th, they're having to, obviously there's COVID guidelines still in place, especially in New York City, since this was like the sort of epicenter of it all in the United States to begin with. So they're being, somewhat careful and slowly, as they say, opening things up. But I think with that, there's going to be that little bit of excitement, also maybe a bit of sensory overload, since many people have not experienced live sound like that in quite a while. So, long story short, yes, we're open to. We definitely plan on playing some more. We just don't know where yet. I think we're gonna get through this show, do this, and then kind of figure out, get our bearings as to like, okay, where else is stuff opening up? Where can we make things work? How can we, make it entertaining while also, staying within the guidelines of whatever, respective state or town or whatever that venue may be. So, the East Coast is our home. It's a bunch of, a couple of Jersey boys and a guy from Indiana. Originally, but who's in New York. So this is our home base. So we're going to be definitely looking around these areas, like the tri-state area. And, if it takes us further, then awesome. But I think it's going to be somewhat kind of slow, but also, I don't know. I might be getting off track here, but I think it's, I think it's going to be, there's going to be a lot of fun to be had, and we're just excited to start playing again. It's like we've missed it so much. We've missed each other a lot too, because we haven't seen each other as much. Everything's been online.
So were you
we've been working on?
So with yesterday, were you working on some new songs or?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we actually started a new one, which is great because I think because of the somewhat insanity and the this, I guess you could say a little bit of the depression that came with the last year. We have a lot of pent up energy, and with that, a lot of, musical nonsense that's all pent up, that's just wanting to get out. So,
well, it seems the three of you have a great time. I love your Facebook posts with, going back and forth with your text messages, your videos, music videos that have been out. Ready Player One was fantastic.
Thank you so much.
Did you enjoy that shoot? What did you take away from that process?
We really had to make, we're not one of those bands that can just spend. We have to really make things work with a lot of limitations. And, we used Nick Capra, who had directed our Blue Light video, who was just amazing. We gave him, what we kind of wanted. And I was like, look, here's this, everything's going to be kind of tight. We have a small window. Can we make this work? And, he accepted the challenge, and he did it, way beyond what we thought could have been done. And considering like I said, the restrictions and the limits we had. And, it was actually, that was done before the pandemic even happened. We shot it over the course of like 2 days, and it went through, like an editing process and, re-edits, and, because it has like some real fun little effects in it to kind of mimic like a sort of side scroll game. And that's the challenge to do, going frame by frame like that. But that had been, for the most part, completed, and then we were ready to release new stuff, and then the pandemic hit. So that obviously set us back a little bit, but it kind of made us evaluate what we wanted to do, how do we handle things in the future. And then the business has already changed so much because of the pandemic. Many times just people trying to kind of figure out what to do, like what's going to work, what isn't, because shoot, there's so much being thrown at everybody every day. But I think what we learned from that is like, okay, this sort of thing is possible. We can do this, with an awesome director like Nick Capra. Like we can make stuff like this work, and it doesn't have to cost an arm and a leg. With the kind of technology that we have now, and even the newer stuff that's coming out, like things you can do just with a simple laptop or even an iPad, or even your iPhone. Like some of the apps on those things are incredible. So, trying to make things work and just make everything interesting. And, for us, we more or less want to think like outside the box as far as like what we create, because it's people are releasing stuff every single day. I think something like 60,000 songs are released on Spotify per day alone.
And they're not really, Spotify doesn't really want to pay anybody. No offense. No. But it seems like YouTube, Spotify, my friends have had millions of views and clicks, and it equates to $150, where back in the 80s and 90s, you'd be millionaires. And I look at it this way, as my beautiful mother said. She's grateful for the pandemic because she said my singing sounds better through a mask. So it's like... And we open for you, by the way. We make everybody look great, and you guys are awesome. But the whole thing is, we're taking this show on the road. But with all of that said, you look at those numbers. That is not the point. The point is doing your art. As we've spent a lot of time, some of us watching TV or movies. I saw just a little bit of The Gladiator, and when he gives his speech at the beginning before they attack the Germans, he said, "What you do now echoes in eternity, and we're all dead already. We're Elysians," or whatever religion they were. So that's the way they looked at stuff. And your art is beautiful. We go to Blue Light. What a great video as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, and wondering who is that ghost in the pale blue light? Dating during the pandemic, it's been exciting.
Yeah.
People on Tinder, all of them look better because everybody's wearing a mask. And so
Yeah.
it's just keep swiping right, I guess. And
Yeah.
even stop.
You know what? I didn't even think about that until you just, I didn't realize that until just this moment.
Yes.
Of thinking of it that way, I'm like, oh my gosh, actually, you're right. It's like, well, all right, well, everyone looks, and it's like, well, it's so different than, you think about like, people with the amount of filtering and the lighting,
gosh.
or like whatchamacallit, or, people holding fish for whatever reason. It's like, okay, look, a fish. It's like, well, do you? We can be anything we want, really, online. And then when you actually meet that person, it's like, oh, is it kind of a lie? Is it not? It's like this sort of, that's the whole point of blue light. It's like, it's not only really just about online dating, but it's our sort of reliance on the tech, on, and how things, as the video is, if you notice it, like we start looking more disheveled, and everything starts looking a little more foggy, almost like you've been looking at your phone too long. It's like,
And I'm guilty of that as well. And
oh yeah, for sure, we all are.
It's always.
I think about the stress I feel like when I can't find my phone for 10 minutes or something. It's like, where's my phone? It's like how much of our lives depend on the thing now.
Well, in a way, artificial intelligence is intelligence. And it's almost like there was a saying, when phones had cords, humans were free. And when the phones lost their cords, now we're enslaved. And it is true. Like, I talk to family members and they're straight up on their cell or whatnot. And it's like we're becoming robots, but it's just, look, going back to the TV and what's pushed out. In the 50s, if they wanted to teach everybody how to plant gardens or do brain surgery, they could have. But the news now is it's all about selling soap. So a practice I do as well is I just don't, listen to the ads. And, it's just a real practice. But, with that, these different things you express through your videos, which is fun to do in itself.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, I wish you would stop sending emails to my mom. And I love that you're bartending, and then you aged. Yeah. Is that my grandma?
Yeah. Again, another example of trying to, make things work on very tight budgets.
It just shows your creativity. The three of you, really.
I personally, and I think the other guys do as well. Like, we grew up, very, modest upbringings, and really having to kind of earn your keep. So just making something out of nothing, if you can, but making it work somehow. It's like, okay, we have this really silly idea. Can it happen? Can we make it happen? And I think usually it can become yes, if you really kind of put your minds to it. Not everything goes right all the time, but with that, something else might spark interest, or it's like, oh wait, but out of that, actually, why don't we do this? And like that's kind of how we've gone. That's kind of how we've gone through this whole since the band began. That's kind of how we made this whole thing, kind of work. And, and honestly, like, having good friends as well, like really who your friends are is, to be honest, like that's who your colleagues are going to be as well, usually. So like with Nick Capra, the director of, Mike did the Stop Sending Emails video. And he did it incredibly well, considering we filmed that in like just, I don't know, we had maybe 6 or 7 hours. It was something really, really limited. And it's like, okay, come on, go, let's shoot, let's do this. And we had every idea of like kind of what Mike had, this whole like kind of vision, and made it work. Cause he comes from film, like he's a film buff. Plus also he went to school for film. So, but that's how he also knew Nick. And we met Nick, and Nick did all these great videos. And, it's like, hey, Nick, hey, Mike, we got these silly ideas.
Right.
Can we even make this work? And here's what we're thinking. And this is the time. Here's your limits, I think that's more fun to me. When you have these certain limitations, and it's just like you're pressed for time, pressed for money, pressed for this, all of these things, all of these challenges that come with it. I feel like you can really thrive through those, and obviously we do our best with that. But so far, we've made things work, and having to think outside the box, and I think artists or anybody will have to do that even more so now because of how much the last year has changed things. Of figuring out what DIY was before, it's even accelerated now, even more so, because the world kind of halted, especially for our business.
No, for sure. And I saw Kurt Cobain in an interview, and the interview asked him, well, now that you have all this money, do you go shopping and buy all the stuff you want? And he said, no, I go to thrift stores. That's where I find my treasures. And it's just, I think it's the excitement, like you say. You only get a certain amount of time, and that is where the magic happens.
Yeah. I mean, you can, I've seen things and worked with things with like very big budgets, and, it's fun. Like sometimes other stuff can come out. It's like, whoa, we can do this because we have this kind of budget now. But I think there's that, but then do you lose the bit of creativity? Do you kind of lose I don't know. There's just something to me that comes with making something out of nothing, let's make lemonade sort of thing. It's like, do you see what's happening? Okay, let's roll with it, and, the good thing is even with, cameras are becoming cheaper, software is becoming cheaper but more advanced. Your iPhone can do crazy good things, even like the stuff that we have in our pockets all day can take amazing photos and crazy good HD videos, so you just kind of figure it out. And also, like, if back to the Kurt Cobain thing, if you have a tight budget but you need some sort of costume or wardrobe, yeah, you go to a thrift store, because why? It's cheap. And
gosh, some of my best outfits.
Yeah, I mean, people are tossing stuff every day or donating things every day. So there's so many ways you can get stuff done with very little to work with. So that's kind of the beauty of, I don't know where I'm going with this, but
you're allowed to go wherever you want, young man.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Appreciate you bearing with me.
No,
like going off on these things. Like,
this is how he really feels. He's actually, you hear, I mentioned Kurt Cobain, and you start smashing the bass in the background. Okay, save that for the show.
Novoselic style.
Yes.
Where he tosses his bass up in the air.
Yes.
And hits him in the head.
Yes.
And Cobain, I guess, thought he was messing around, and he kicked him in the butt or something like that. No, he hit him. He got his bell rung. For sure.
Well, that's
it's like kind of funny when you look back on it now. It's like, that could not have been fun.
No, not at all. And
that probably felt horrible.
Well, I think
and also when you mentioned AI before,
yes.
all I kept thinking of was, when does Skynet become self-aware?
Well, if it isn't already, right?
Yeah, I mean, man, this stuff. I know people have worked in AI just on the a business side of like marketing and whatnot, and the stuff that tech can do is scary. It's amazing that it's possible, but also it's like, man, it's starting to think, it'll never be human, but it's like they're really building them to just really think, like a human would. And
well, that's unfortunate because
that's intense, man.
Well, the other thing is too is I was thinking about this as well, and George Carlin said this, and a great point about politics and what it all really means. 99% of the species become extinct. That everybody wants to save the earth, save the planet, save the whales. The earth does not care, and we are just fleas on it. And for a species such as ourselves, someone tried to cut me off today. Oh, shock, Boston. And then, while I'm driving, but also we've created a weapon that can just destroy the planet. As well as, I watched briefly on, I don't know which news station, but then they show us what Russia has. And then they do this. Yeah. And the point is that with this AI, as it becomes more intelligent, and they've interviewed some of the early ones that are like, humans are useless. Like, when they do get the chance to get us, it's like, bro, I'm just a guitar player and a shitty one at that. Leave us alone. I mean, I'll play you a tune, I mean, I show up and...
I just want to jam, man.
Well,
let me be.
But, in thinking of your show coming up on April 24th, you're really in the select few of musicians that have gone on a world tour and played at O2, have been on the Kiss Cruise. You've done everything, that I've ever dreamed of. So it's kind of it's like the human condition in a way. You're getting ready for your next show. But what was it like opening up all over Europe for Kiss and playing in front of those people? Were the nerves a little different?
For sure. I mean, it's it's not like a club or like a theater. I mean, these are like, it's funny because I wouldn't say it's not nerves necessarily. It's a lot of sensory overload for sure. Yeah. It's bigger. There's a lot more lights and you have a lot more faces staring at you. And I don't know if you know, UK fans or Europe fans, they get a little harsh, man. They're like, get on with it, lads. Something's I love that stuff though. I really enjoy that sort of thing. It's a challenge, but also I find it hilarious. It's like, get on with it, lads. I'll never forget that in Scotland. Some dude, he could have been in front, could have been in the back. Either way, that dude was projecting and he was loud.
Oh, I mean,
wow. You heard him over that whole audience. It was like, get on with it, lads. We did, and they seemed to have a really good time. So that was even better for us. But it's intense. It is very intense. Your adrenaline is at just maximum levels. Especially as an opener, you have 30 minutes. And at the 30 minutes, you better be off.
And what are the consequences?
Within that 30 minutes, you got to give them the best amount that you have. You give them everything you got. Because who knows when you're going to get a chance like that again, or even go further than that. So with that, you just make the most of it. You give them everything you got. Don't hold anything back. Leave it all on the stage, and then get ready for the next one. So it's and then you leave. And then it kind of comes down, everything. It takes a minute, but it's so much fun. I know I love it. The guys love it, and there's nothing like it, really.
I can only imagine. It's Jim Morrison. His girlfriend asked him one time, "Why do you give it your all at these shows every single time?" And in the early years, you don't know how many couple people in the crowd, whatever. He said, because this may be my last show.
Yeah.
And you want to do your best as an artist, but also the question is sensitivity. So when you think about it might have been 2 weeks in Europe or 3. The first show, I'm sure, for me would just be so overwhelming. Was show 5 like a little less?
Um, I mean, with that tour in particular, the crowds kept getting bigger. So, but then I mean, I guess it's sort of like this, like after like a few thousand people, like what's another thousand? What's another few thousand? After 10,000, it's like, well, what's another few thousand? It kind of feels like that. But I mean, O2 was definitely nuts because I mean that's 23, I think, some 25. I can't remember some. But after 20, you're like, well, what's the difference?
No, for sure.
That's a lot of bodies in a confined space. But it's amazing the energy in there, and you got to remember when you're up there, it's not about you anymore. I mean, you're giving your best of you, right? What the dives are, or whatever it is that you're doing up there, but you got to remember it's for them. You're there to put on a show for them. They've paid very good money, in a lot of cases and some of these people don't, maybe they don't have much, they're just big fans or they just want to really be at the show. um, you know, and like I said, like this, who knows if you're going to do this tomorrow? Like, you don't know. So you give it everything you have, because man, these opportunities they don't come around every day. You're lucky if you do. It's like it's rare that you get, whether it be as an opener or just like if you have a long career. It's a rare thing. And give it, take advantage. I guess be sort of humble, be grateful. Because man, I mean, just, we love playing, no matter what. I mean, you start playing, just for the love of it, so you try to carry that on. And I think that, you get to do something like that. It's just kind of be in the moment. I say, for anybody, just be as present as possible. Because man, it's incredible. It's an incredible feeling. I think we're incredibly lucky just to even be playing still. But we love each other. We've kept this going. We're going to keep it going. We got we're excited about all these new things that are coming out. But like thinking of moments like that, it's like, man, I want more of that. Obviously, but you got to keep it up. It's a whole lot of hustle.
Yeah, and it's just really more art, which should be,
Yeah.
a great time. And again, bands nowadays are able to, say a bandmate's going to do a little work with Aerosmith. We're cool with that. It's not, we're in this till the very end, and to be able to collaborate. But also, with, we did the list of the people just in my band and all the dysfunction. It's like, well, maybe Frankie, you're the problem.
Yeah. It's funny. I had a conversation about that with my brother one day, and I go, it's bands are funny. It really is like siblings or it's family. There's always going to be some sort of bickering or whatnot. You don't get that with a solo artist usually, because it's just them. I like bands a lot. I've always loved them, but they can be, it can be like, wow, what's this? Well, so and so did this, or Jimmy did something. Mike, it's we're not, it's rare that ever happens or something. You're gonna have disagreements. You're gonna have this little like family style bickering, and like these little things. I kind of love it though. I like that sort of family feeling of it. And
when did you start playing your instruments? At what age?
Well, I was playing piano first around like 9, but that didn't really stick. I don't know why. If it's just me, I don't like to be sitting down for too long. So just unless I wanted to play a guitar or something, it wasn't really jiving with me. So around I think 13 is when I picked up a guitar. mainly because my friends were doing it and I wanted to be cool like them. But little did we know that I would stick with it and eventually say to myself, I want to try and make a living out of this,
No.
Which is still a crazy idea even now. But
Well, my father's a police officer, so he's always
wow.
like, cut your hair. And I'm like, Dad, where's
Uh-huh.
my allowance? And he's like, you have the right to remain silent. And I've always said, my kids will be state troopers. It just skips a generation. So it's kind of like, I think it's, Alan Watts said it best in the late 60s. There's a video. Follow your dreams and the money will follow. In corporate America, people are highly underpaid for whatever they're doing.
Sure.
And you have a skill, and now you can pass it on. And that's Alan Watts' point. You get so good at it that now you can teach it. You can pass along that knowledge. Another junior band comes along and says, wow, he's actually done all these things, and you just share. And then people who have been further down the road, it's kind of like my friend Rick Walker said, it's a hallway. You open the door, you go down to another door. You open another door, then there's a longer hallway. Which brings me really quickly to lucid dreams. Do you have them?
Yeah, so I made a point of this before, but like after I got the shot, and I think I mentioned this on our socials or whatever, but I said that whenever I would get sick, if I ever had like flu, cold, whatever, I always had these very, very vivid lucid dreams. Like they feel so real in the moment. But I usually do then, or if I'm like very tired. But long story short, yes, I do have them sometimes.
Well, there's a way to have them, and it's every time you walk through a doorway, you say to yourself, am I dreaming? And there will happen more. Or if you look at your hand and you go, am I awake? They accelerate.
Yeah.
My friend told me to do that. I was like, wow, I'm having way too much fun in my dreams.
Right. Yeah, I mean, actually, you know what? I'm thinking of this now. I had a dream. I had a very lucid dream last night, and it had to do with our show. But because I've been thinking about it, and as far as like, okay, what's the second? All these things come to mind, like when you're preparing for a show, or you're honestly, at this point, you're mentally preparing for going back to something that's that feels like forever ago was the last time you did it. But it's like I remember being in the dream. We were sound checking or wanting to sound check, but we were there for like 2 hours. And then I realized in part of the dream that I'm dreaming. Like I feels like
a dream within.
Very real.
Yeah,
a dream within a dream. So like you're becoming hyper aware. It's like, okay, I know this is not real, but I'm just gonna go with it. And I think I woke up later remembering every single thing that had happened in that dream. I remember what the stage looked like. I remember and us not even getting the sound check, even though we'd been waiting 2 hours to do so.
Oh, that's also a performance anxiety dream. I would have dreams of going into the classroom. Oh, where's your 20-page paper? Or we have a test. I can't quite get to the class.
Yeah, this is very much like that. I'm like, are we gonna play? Are we gonna actually make some noise? And we never did. I never plugged in. I never did that. But then I also said to myself, wait, I have a lesson at 4 that I need to get to. And this is all happening in the dream. It's funny we're talking about this because I'm like, wait, this happened and then this happened. But it felt very real in the moment. And I woke up going, that wasn't real. That was a dream. But I was very aware I was in a dream.
Well, you make dreams come true as our sponsor, Eddie Carlino of Carlino Guitars. Eddie, he made a beautiful guitar for me and straps. And he also showed me, tell me about the strap that Eddie made for you. It was based on a cartoon character?
Oh, sort of, yeah.
Okay.
That is, I know Eddie calls him Bullet Guy, but It's I don't know if you remember Super Mario Brothers.
I do.
Yeah, so it's the little bomb character that kind of floats around. But I remember I brought it up to Eddie one day, and he goes, "What is this exactly?" Because I don't think he'd never played, you know. Um, um, but yeah, so I was like, okay, here's my idea. It's very simple, you know. I was like, just give me just a very simple character because I grew up I grew up playing games a lot as a kid, and that's part of the reason what became of Ready Player One. You know, I came up with that crazy idea because I'd played games so much, and then I was like, well, what if the game were to actually fall in love with the player, you know, but like goes a little overboard with it, you know?
Well, AI, tell me more.
Yeah, exactly. So, what was it? So I brought this, you know, little silly idea just to see if Eddie would even go for it. But you know, he did. He goes, but to this day, he calls him Bullet Guy. I think what is it? Oh no, it's Bullet Bill from Mario Brothers. So, but I can't really say that because I don't know if I would need some kind of permission. But I mean, he doesn't sell it anyway. I'm like, no one's gonna buy that thing. You know, they don't want Bullet Bill, you know, on their strap. It's very rare. But I grew up in Mario. You know, Mario was that was my jam. You know, and I'm like, well, how about this silly idea? Can I get Bullet Bill on a guitar strap? Because he'd already done one with my nickname in Mexico for Sergio. That's because my parents are Mexican.
I lived in Mexico for a year.
No way. What part?
I was in Sonora.
Sonora? Yeah.
Sí. Y mi acento es muy feo, hermano. Me perdonas.
That's where I think Santana is from Sonora, if I remember correctly. Or wait, no. I'm wrong. He's from Jalisco, I think, which is where my dad is from.
Oh, well, that's another story. Yeah. Someone handed me a Malverde pendant and said, put it on. I said, okay. I actually wanted Eddie to put that on a guitar for me.
He probably would.
Yeah.
You know, I think Eddie just he loves that challenge, man. He's like, oh, let me see. So he just goes for it. He's like I remember he made the strap that said Checo on it because that's my nickname the nickname for Sergio is Checo. So he had that one done for me, and then that's when I had the idea for Bullet Bill because I thought it would just look cool on a strap. You know, here's this cool looking, beautiful leather strap. And if I could extend it a certain way, there's the bullet, you know, because I don't know if you remember, the bullet also has arms, so it could kind of extend. And he had this really cool idea. It's like, okay, I'm going to take this little ring here, I'm going to put it there, and that'll be for the arm, and then make it look like But he did this in half an hour. You know, he's always. That's what I love about Eddie. He's like, okay, what I could do. So I bet if you take that, you know, have them say, it's like, hey, can you put that on a guitar for me? He'd be like, yeah.
He's like, Frankie, what have you been up to? I go, I'm like, no te preocupes, or even better yet, no manches tocayo. I'm like, okay, everyone relax. One of my favorites was this, si no te metes, no hay problemas. And another one was about dating as well. It'll come back to me, but I just love all the sayings. I love the culture. I just had so much fun down there. I got to learn Spanish, have lifelong friendships. It's been tough because I would go back, you know, every other year or so. But it's just, you know, with the pandemic and different things, it's like, it's been way too long.
Yeah, I think that'll be the good thing with with the vaccinations and whatnot. People, like I said, mentioned earlier, with people just kind of going, they're going to go a little buck wild, they're going to go crazy this summer. They're going to want to travel again. Like my brother's he's a pilot for a major airline, and he's already starting to notice that more people are starting to book things, more people are starting as they're getting vaccinated. Um, these countries are going to pretty much do anything, and I think gives more incentive for people to come out and get tourism back up again. I think it's going to take a sec because we're going to be socially rusty for a little bit because we haven't, a room of more than, just a few people, now thinking of, okay, can I be in a room with 100 people? Can I be in a room with 500 people? How about, that's what we're thinking now with concerts.
Our new
events.
Greetings with the elbows and like, how do you approach people? Yeah. I'm like, I just want.
Don't touch me, man.
No me toques tanto.
No quiero.
Well, that's what I love the novellas. Like, 14 Mujeres, Un Camino, or Tuyo.
Yeah. Wasn't that with Dos Mujeres Un Camino? Isn't that with what's his name? Eric Estrada? Wasn't he in that?
Yes, I believe so.
I remember that.
And then the Muñecas de la Mafia is a newer one that my buddy told me about. But no, it's just, really good stuff. So much fun. And that's what I talked to, we got to get the tour going on the East Coast. Mm-hmm. Maybe hit some, Mexico. I call it Sexico when I show up because I'm pretty sexy in my own opinion. They're like...
Well, you bring the unicorn hat.
Well, that and my friends would take me on vacation because I reflect sunlight, so they would just move me around the pool. I mean, they're like, Blanquito, are you wearing 50 or is that 100 sunscreen? And I'm just like...
You're like, I don't want to burn.
Hey, Langosta, how you doing? Do it. No, that's good stuff. And what was it like how were the Kiss cruises? You went on, what was that like?
Oh, yeah. Those are so interesting. They're a lot of fun, and everyone's super cool.
Nice.
Everyone's like pretty much there for the same thing. You have the bands, and it was cool for us because we had seen bands that maybe we'd listen to, or musicians that we'd wanted to meet or something like that. And every band was just cool with one another, whether it be the younger bands like ours, with that weren't, kind of more independent like we've been, and but they get these cool chances, and we just met very cool people, and the fans were always really, really cool to us. I mean, you're on this boat for a while. Some people don't like it. I personally like being on boats. I like going fishing. I like just being out on the ocean, and that's some of the best sleeping I've ever done in
Nice.
my life. Just having that rocking, and it takes 2-3 days to get the when you get off the boat, to have that where everything's moving for a little while, even still, even when you're on land. But it's cool. There's a lot of activities going on, and then you get to stop in these really cool places, but you can eat whenever you want, really.
I got to get rid of my freshman 30 for this year. I mean, it's like
saying to the guys, I've been telling the guys, Mike and Jimmy about we've all kind of oh man, I'm gonna go for a run. I'm gonna do this, getting my city legs back. When I got back, the day I got back here, I walked about 9 miles.
I know.
Just to go check things out and see if anything was happening in certain areas, what was quiet, what wasn't. I started down in, near Washington Square Park, and that was bumping, man. There was people just hanging out, skateboard. It was a beautiful day. It was 70 degrees, perfect, no clouds. There was some girl doing this interpretive dancing, which was kind of fun. People skateboarding, just people just hanging out, enjoying lunch, and then you go through I made my way all the way to the west side, walked all the way up, zigzagging through, all the way up to 47th Street, and seeing like what's going on, like what's happening. And I slept really great that night because I had not walked that much in quite a while, and felt really good. I felt energized and happy to be home. And but yeah, just getting rid of some of these, the quarantine pounds.
Oh yeah, I've been playing one-on-none basketball full court, so I'll just go up, on the Celtics and the Lakers, which is weird. But what's funny is I never end up winning because the trees keep blocking my shots. So you got to do something to keep it fun, and
oh yeah,
that's what you're up to. Another quick question. As far as with Evan Stanley, I saw his new video, El Camino, and do you still talk to him much?
A little bit here and there, like we'll either text like check in, but I mean he's he's in LA now, he's doing his thing, so it's not like it used to be, obviously.
Yes.
With the time difference, and like I said, we kind of went in these like separate directions, and it's all good. He's doing his thing that he wants to do, and we kind of found our thing that we're super happy with. So, all good. But yeah, I think once in a while, like, either through like DMs or, slipping through the DMs, text message here and there.
Yes, exactly.
You know how it is.
I actually do. Have you done many NAMM shows?
We've gone to 2. Is it 2? Yeah, because we've all got like these separate endorsements with different companies. Like, I'm with Hardkey. Also, we have a thing with Diodario, and Jimmy has a couple with. Is it Big Fat Snare Drum? And what's the other thing that he does? He has a whole tie-in with a couple different like drum company things. But yeah, talk about sensory overload. I mean, that's another example of it. It's so much fun, but man, when you come home, you're exhausted. I can only imagine how the employees or the heads of those companies that come there to represent feel.
You're on for 12 hours a day.
Yeah.
For how many days in a row?
Fried, man, just fried. And they put in so much time to prep. They're basically, once they're done, they take a few weeks and then they start prepping for the following year of like, okay, we got a new product, we got this, that, artists, yada, yada. I don't know how it's going to be now.
No, absolutely. And I talked with my buddy about that, and he said that, and he goes every year. He said it, he was taking like, I don't know how many vitamin C's, whatever, protecting himself, and, how they have everything laid out. But, in the meantime, again, we keep making our art. You keep making your art. Right. And it's really great stuff. I, look at different things that, I've tried in life, which is basketball. I was in a league in Tampa, and I got dunked on by a guy 5'5", and then my next shot by the Miami Heat guy knocked it into the stands, where the next week this young African-American child walks up to me and he says, you white people don't know how to play basketball. And I looked at him and I said, yeah, but we know how to dance. And I started dancing, and you can't do that either. I'm like, I'm sorry. So it's
called you out.
Yeah, and absolutely. And I started playing music much later in life. And I hope it's early in life, because I don't want to end up at the cemetery this week. I
think it's never too late. I always tell people, it's never too late. What a play.
My joke is I picked the bass guitar because it only had 4 strings. And I was sadly, shocked where there's a lot of work to this thing. Are you kidding me, bro? I'm like,
man.
Years later, but
underestimated instrument, really is.
Which is really, really
cut out for me.
Oh, yeah, and you're doing fantastic. So, the Dives will be at the Bitter End, April 24th, 8 p.m. And really quick, who did your new logo? I think it's fantastic.
Oh, that was our friend Pete. also known as Voodoo Bones, if you want to look him up on his socials. But that's Pete Russo, really super talented. It's he and Jimmy go way back since like childhood. They've known each other for a long time in the Jersey scene.
Oh yes.
But yeah, super duper talented artist, and he's getting in now. He's done a lot of work with a lot of different acts, and incredible artist, and now he's getting into the whole like NFT game. If you're not familiar with that, but,
yeah, I have a little Doge riding today, so
yeah, little Doge. Yeah, there you go, buddy. There you go.
We'll be financing this tour.
Speaking the language, hey man, you know what? That's the thing. I'm like, with how much that stuff has blown up in the past few months, like I was like, man, that's gonna impact this industry as well. Like it already is, with the art. And I see artists like, it's like, okay, this music as an NFT, or this logo, this poster, this whatever, but like yeah, Pete's getting really into that, and I've had a little chats about that once in a while, but he's such a talented guy, and we had a sort of vision of all these different these different logos, or like these ideas, and he came up with this one, and we're like, whoa, what is that? How can we incorporate this? And boom, there you have it.
We appreciate it so much.
Happy with it.
Yeah, no, that is, just powerful. And you know what, that's the thing too, is just, change, and the only thing that is constant is change. And I'm going to send you a YouTube link of an album I found out of the trash from 1973. It's George Cromartie. It's like one of the best albums I've ever heard, and it's folk music, and it's so positive. I'll send it on the, if it's a blue New York City day, play that. It was just really uplifting. I can't thank you enough for coming on and sharing your experience in your life, and, we're excited to, have you guys maybe back on the show again, all three of you.
Oh, that would be fantastic. We'd be so into that. And thank you so much for having me on. And, I appreciate it. And man, it's been such a pleasure talking with you.
No, I speak English, Spanish, Starbucks, texting, and love. So, call me acento feo, hermano.
I'm good with maybe two of those. I gotta work my way. I gotta graduate up.
Look, my man. You don't need any modifying with your ghost light, okay, pal? Well, give Mike my best as well, and you're gonna have a kick-ass show. That's all there is to it, brother.
Thank you so much, my friend, and hope we get to talk with all three of us there soon, and you take care. Love what you're doing here, and I know Mike really enjoyed his interview as well. So appreciate you so much for having me and talking a little bit, and helping the little guys out, man. Talking from
He is a musician. He is an instructor. He is a Renaissance man. He is a rock star, Sergio. So I wanted to get a better intro, but this is the outro as well. Start well, finish well, and again, we open for you. So you have a great day.
You too. Thanks so much, man.
Talk to you soon.
Alrighty.
Bye.
Bye.
And that was Sergio Ortega of The Dives, bass player. He's a musician. He's a rock star. He's toured all over the world. They've made some really kick-ass videos. Ready Player One, Blue Light, and Stop Sending Emails to My Mom. And there's new stuff out. And we want to thank Sergio Ortega of The Dives for joining us on Melted. Sponsored by Carlino Guitars. Get your Bullet Man strap, whatever you need. And he does it all. The Dives rock. Check them out. And let's keep this tour alive.